move to item 8D now, the motions, and we'll move to motion G. And Paul Cochrane would like to make their way to the front.
Madam President, I am Paul Cochrane, 109 Renfrew. Madam President, Executive, colleagues, distinguished guests, especially Ashley. Nice to see you, Ashley. Congress, I note that the SSTA have issued advice on reducing bureaucracy. We also welcome the second booklet of advice from the government in this matter, and I recognise the goodwill that all 12 partners who contributed to this now seemingly annual publication have in aiming to reduce the excessive burden on practitioners. But I'm afraid that the day-to-day experience of classroom teachers has not seen any lessening of the paperwork. Let me take you on a journey, not a journey to excellence, but a journey to the labyrinthine experience of many of our pupils and teachers. In my subject, if you're a National 4 student, you as a teacher and a pupil are compelled to undergo 43 assessment components in a year. 43 evidence pieces of assessments we've got to record and verify and moderate. Doesn't sound too much until you realise we're lucky in science it's only 20 students. It's only 20 times 43 for one class. I want the maths teachers to cover their ears just in case I get this wrong. But to me that comes out as 860. National 5 is reflected in this as well, with some minor adjustments. So in a year, a teacher for one class could be expected quite reasonably to complete 860 assessment components for one class, assuming they get it right first time, which they all do, like we do. And then we add in the idea about the backfilling and the insurance policy that some schools insist upon. Some schools just insist on the AVU, so that's kind of minor, as you know. Some schools are insisting on doing the whole suite of assessments for National 5 and for National 4, just in case, so it's ready. That could then be 1,720 components of assessment for one class. I hope you're getting the picture. Oh, and I forgot verification of 10% of the sample, which we all do. The bureaucracy document states, assessment within CFE is based on the exercise of professional judgment. Oh no, it isn't. The SQA do not allow you to do that. Many of us are now also aware that if you've got a teaching commitment heavy in the upper school, where it's National 4, National 5, National 6, National 7, I can't work out the number, I don't have a calculator with me. Before I came here, I explained to yet another group of our reassessment squad of pupils during their lunchtime catch-up sessions that I would be speaking at an event where the head of the SQA would be present. Their reaction was beautiful to behold. I asked them if they'd like to deliver a message to the SQA, and the clean summary version they all agreed upon was, the SQA sucks. I won't tell you what my daughter said before I left this morning. She's underwent it as well. Add in, this is all about bureaucracy, add in full reports. Interim reports, 1, 2 or 3, depending on where you work. Tracking, that thing you've always been doing which won't really add to your workload, professional update. Returns to guidance and to senior managers which come in like that, well, I've got a meeting in 10 minutes, could you please give me some information to satisfy GIRFEC? We now seem to be inhabiting a C.S. Lewis type land where paper and e-communication trump conversation and professional discourse. Indeed, a school very close to my place of work was recently praised by HMI for the exemplary number of extracurricular, sporting and leadership opportunities given to the chick children out with the normal curriculum. And our senior management team glowed, not that other glow that doesn't work, they just glowed with joy. And then they turned the page over, and this is what the HMI said in the report. This school clearly supports young people to achieve success in many different aspects. We're great. The next step is to improve the monitoring of young people's engagement and the progress in these wider achievements to ensure that all young people benefit from the opportunities on offer. This was praised, but it wasn't good enough that these opportunities happen and that the kids experience them. They must be planned, observed, recorded and reported on. I've lost 3 colleagues, not that way, don't worry about it, in the last 18 months in a department of 12, early 30s, late 30s and early 50s, and all various reasons, but a major component for each of them was curriculum for excellence in the upper school. Before you start wishing you were a primary teacher, just ask them to take it through. Congress, much of the advice in the report is beyond the remit of an ordinary classroom teacher. We have been asked to blindly support bureaucracy over coherence. My school underwent inspection in February. I asked my SMT if HMI had engaged on matters of bureaucracy, as it was stated in the Education Scotland site that they would be, and the emphatic answer from all of them was no. It never came up in any of the discussions. Congress, the madness that is our day-to-day life, the disconnection between rhetoric and reality, and the asinine levels of assessment imposed on teachers must stop. It's essential that the reducing bureaucracy workload doesn't become like the Oor Willie annual you give to your 18-year-old child. You do it through tradition, and they take it and they go, thanks Dad, thanks very much, I really love Oor Willie, and then they put it under their bed along with the last 6 they've never read. It's got to be a working document. And I urge you to support this motion, and we hope that the government would look at practical ways in which our life can be made available once more. Thank you very much.
Seconder.
Trevor Jones, delegate number 110. A year ago I seconded motion A. It was about the effect of ill health and the retirement age increasing to 68. For that purpose I was an early 60s, late 50s teacher with poor health. I was, you may recall, playing a role. Sadly, I failed to gain your nomination for a BAFTA. Today, the future could be said to be equally fearful. Pensionable age is still to be 68, and considering the outcome of yesterday's election, may rise further. The workload issue has not gone away. Indeed, workload for students and teachers has increased. Motions A and B discussed this afternoon were about that kind of topic. Teachers face Himalayan proportions of paperwork, possibly a consequence of inappropriate business management methods introduced into education. The stress levels for students and teachers are too high and show no signs of diminishing. Teacher workload is pupil learning conditions. I can't quite. Teacher working conditions are pupil learning conditions, if I get it right. Stress is a form of mental illness. This takes me back to the motion that we passed last year, motion A last year. We should seek a reduction in the bureaucracy. The Scottish Government must be persuaded to publish a report without delay. Please support the motion.
Are there any further contributions to the motion? Yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin Medill, Delegate 75. I'll be brief. It's just something I want to get off my chest. I think this is relevant. Apologies to Paul if it's not. The word on my chest I want to get off is CMIS. And I think I can justify this coming under this motion as a duplication of effort, a definition of bureaucracy. CMIS is a joke. It's a bad joke. It's maybe as bad as my Eric Clapton one earlier. We know it's a joke. The government knows, authorities know, CMAs know it themselves, they're trying to sort it out. But we don't trust it. So therefore, reporting, monitoring and tracking, recording, all things that have to happen. I agree, yes, of course they have to happen. They don't have to happen twice or more, because CMAs doesn't work properly. The horse is bolted on this one. They are throwing more money at it. But my opinion is it's time for them to hold their hands up and say, we got this wrong, let's get on with it. Let's tackle this bureaucracy bred by the mess of CMAs. Therefore, that's just another facet I would have liked to add to my comments supporting the motion. I urge you to support it. Thank you.
Dominique was first anyway.
Sorry, Monique, I'm going slow here. Tackling bureaucracy has been on the agenda of our LNCT meetings over the past year. Suggestions from the management side where we'll have a tackling bureaucracy subgroup. Really? Sorry, I have no time. I've got too much paperwork at the moment. I'll leave EIS to deal with it. What has our authority done? Well, to reduce bureaucracy. They have reduced the amount of staff surveys, would you believe? Is that going to help? No. The amount of paperwork generated by the new nationals is bad enough. The amount of paperwork generated by the demands made on us on implementations of there's too many demands made on us at the moment, and that's why I would urge you to vote for this motion. We've got enough paperwork as it is. We want to teach. We don't want to do surveys and double check that we're doing our job properly to prove management teams, HMIE, that we're doing our job properly. So I'll urge you to vote for this motion.
Aberdeenshire delegate number 14, and that's my age. Yesterday afternoon, when I was driving down from Aberdeen, I had on Radio 4. I almost always have on Radio 4 when I'm in the car, and they were reporting on Sir Gary Cooper, the industrial psychologist from Manchester University, who talks the greatest amount of sense that I have heard coming out of people's mouths. I first got to know him about 20 years ago when he was talking about other things, and I just thought he was great. And yesterday he was talking about emails and the effect that they were having on productivity in business. And he was suggesting that emails were undermining productivity in business. And in the article that I heard, there were a couple of businesses that had decided that they would stop emails. One of them stopped all the emails, I think, and another one stopped all internal emails. But there was one contributor at the end who said that already, and this was just weeks after the stop in the emails, that their productivity had gone up by more than 20%, I think it was, and this businessman anticipated that over a longer period of time, their productivity would go up by 50%. Now, 2 years ago, we went on to work to rule, and as the rep in the school, and because of my own issues and whatnot, I felt that I had to keep a record of exactly what I was doing so as to justify the fact, that I was doing my required number of hours. So I actually took a record of how much time I spent dealing with emails every day. Now, I probably had a median time of about 12 or 13 minutes. Sometimes it was nearly half an hour that I was spending each morning, because I look at them in the morning. I don't actually sit behind a monitor all day waiting for somebody to send me an email. Do you know what? I teach, and I don't know what it is about management, but they seem to think that you're able to read an email at 11:30 in the morning telling you that something's happened at 12:30. Where did they get that from? So I think that bureaucracy is a huge area. The whole issue of testing, monitoring, following it, you know, the whole thing. But also just the email thing. Wouldn't it be great if we went in without emails for 6 months? You would have to go along the corridor and tap on somebody's door and say, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. What do you think of this idea? I think please support this motion.
Any further contributions? No, they've spoken.
Hi, David McColgan, delegate number 11. 4 years ago, our school, we had to write 5 reports, 1 for each year group. 3 years ago, we had to write 7 because we wrote 2 for seniors. 2 years ago, we had to write 10 reports, 2 for each year group. This past year, we have had to write 5 reports because at the TNCG, we just said, you know what, enough is enough. We are not going to write interim reports anymore. Staff don't want to do it. Parents don't really benefit from it. So we've now gone back to half the reports that we had to last year because we fought for it. And I mean, absolutely support the motion, but I don't think a report from the Scottish Government is going to reduce workload in our schools. I think us saying to our managers, no, we refuse to do this anymore, is the only thing that's going to reduce workload. In Angus, we had a Tackling Bureaucracy event a year ago, and at it, our Director of Education said, we as teachers are the only people that can make a difference, that we have to realise that we are allowed to say no. When somebody asks you to do the same thing twice, just say, no, I've recorded it on CMIS, I refuse to do it again. And if you keep saying that, then eventually people will stop asking you to do stuff again and again and again. And the only way that the workload is going to be reduced is if we ourselves tell our members that they are allowed to say no to unnecessary requests. So please do support the motion, but then go back and tell your members to stop doing stuff that they know for a fact is pointless. Thanks.
Are there any further contributions? I don't think you've anything you want to answer. Do you want to answer anything? No? Okay. Right, well, we'll move to the vote. Those in favour, please. And those against? Abstentions? Unanimous, thank you.